Welcome everyone into another episode of Zoom Action, KSR's basketball breakdown show. As always, I'm your co-host, Zack Geoghegan, joined by my other co-host right next to me, Brandon Ramsey. Brandon, how are you doing? Real quick before we dive into things, feeling in the basketball mood, I'd say around now.
I would much rather be in the basketball mood than the football mood, so I'm just going to choose the basketball mood because Friday was really fun. Then I went to the game Saturday, and it was whatever the opposite of fun is. But yeah, let's have fun. Let's talk about basketball.
Yeah, I didn't know you went to the game on Saturday. I feel bad for you. Good thing it didn't actually happen, and doesn't count. So,
Correct.
But the Purdue game, we're gonna pretend that one does count because it was still an exhibition. I think it was kind of you who's kind of coined it. You know, like it doesn't count in the win column, but what happened on the floor, it counts to us at least. You know, trying to dive into things. So we've got a few different clips. I think like it'll end up being 5 or 6 clips, and then like a whole. Well, I won't spoil it too much, but we got 4 different segments that we're going to go through. 2 from Brandon, 2 from myself from our rewatch of the Purdue game. And that's going to be the whole episode here. So we're just going to kind of roll through some of the things that stood out, and we're making this into a. We did this last year, if some might remember, and I stole it. I ripped it from one of my favorite NBA podcasts. But they love to do this right after the first game of the season. It's only one game, but ... So this is kind of an excuse to like be hot takey, knowing that the only thing that we've seen is one preseason game, albeit against the number 1 team in the country. So that is going to be the concept for today's show. It's just one game, but. So keep that in mind whenever we're saying what we're saying. We're being hot takey on purpose just for the fun of it. But also there's a little bit of truth to what we say as well. So, but before we dive in, we are actually now sponsored. So I have to do an ad read. This is going to be my first ever ad read. Brandon, please, I guess follow along here and you know I'd be like, oh yes, yes, that sounds great. I love this ad, this sponsor that we're doing. It's great. So LG&E and KU. So they're now our sponsor for Zoom Action, at least for a little bit here to end the year. LG&E and KU knows that when the lights go out, it can feel like a full court press. Oh, I like this. Playing on some basketball stuff. But staying in the know is an easy win. Update your phone number in the LG&E and KU mobile app or in My Account. If the power goes out, you'll get play-by-play text from 454-358 with outage updates, safety information, and time estimates for power restoration. Can't text? No problem. You should be able to text, though. We all text nowadays. But if you can't, we'll call the landline on your account with the same updates so you're never left in the dark. Because in the dark, there's no defense. Ooh, I really like this. I love the basketball bits here. But with LG&E and KU, you've always got a team working to get the lights back on and let you know the game plan. Update your number today at lge-ku.com/outages. And that's the ad. So hopefully I did okay on that, and hopefully our friendly sponsors who are kind enough to partner with us appreciate that, and I'll get better as we go along. But Brandon, enough of the ad stuff. Let's go ahead and start talking some basketball, shall we? So we are going to start here. Actually, I need to scrub ahead a little bit more. But so go ahead and explain your first big. It's just one game, and I'll go ahead and set you up with the video here.
So it's just one game, but. Sorry, Zach. Are we starting with the offense?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, we're going with the big man offense.
Okay, yeah. It's just one game, but Kentucky might have the best front court in all of college basketball, especially once Jaden Quainitz comes back. I know what Michigan has. I know what Florida has coming back. These Kentucky guys are really darn good. We saw everything from Malachi Moreno on Friday night. He continues to be super impressive. Brandon Garrison coming back. I think he's making some strides. It might still be a little slow, but he's making some strides, and we know that he was solid last year. It's not like he was terrible by any means. We're excited about Andre Yelovich. We're excited about Mo Diabate and the versatility he brings. Obviously, you bring back Jaden Quainitz, and you have maybe the best defender in all of college basketball. These two clips that I want to focus on, though, Kentucky's big men are excellent at kind of finding some hidden points for the offense, the way Brandon Garrison rolls to the basket. And here you're going to see him just completely clear Oscar Clough out of this play. Those are the things, like I think back to watching Alabama teams the last couple of years, or Texas A&M teams the last couple of years. We as Kentucky fans always get mad, like when these other big men clear us out of the paint and they go land like, oh, that's a foul, it's a foul. Well, it never gets called. Might this get called once or twice this year? Sure. But I love the aggressiveness, the physicality. Brandon Garrison always rolls so hard to the rim. He's great on the rim run also. The way that he pulls defenders with him gets Kentucky points throughout the game, and those are things that he'll never really get credit for, except for right here on the Zoom Action podcast. And I just wanted to shout out him. I think those little things kind of in the margins are going to be what makes Kentucky one of the best front courts in college basketball this season.
Yeah, it was kind of we do classify it as an illegal screen, but if you're going to get away with it, who cares?
It's
And
not
like you
illegal
said,
if they don't
they
call
don't
it.
exactly. They really don't call this play a lot. And Brandon, not too long later in this game, found pretty much almost a carbon copy of it, just with the different big man rolling for Kentucky here. So I'm going to scrub over to it real quick and find it for you, and we will let this play out. This is Malachi Moreno, essentially kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, just another kind of normal high ball screen. He slips out of it, but then see how he throws his butt into Daniel Jacobson there. We get the great play of the night from Colin Chandler throwing it down. And obviously Colin Chandler deserves a lot of credit. He beats his man at the point of attack, goes in there with an impressive dunk. But he might not get this dunk without that seal from Malachi Moreno right there. So a really impressive play, high IQ play from a freshman. I was really impressed with some of these things, along with the dunk he had on the rim run, and a couple of the finishes he had around the basket, the way he rebounded the ball, the things like this, these are the type of things that scouts at the next level are going to be looking for and watching and seeing the way that he can help his teammates get better without needing the ball. But also it's the little things that'll keep him on the floor throughout the season, both him and Brandon Garrison as well. Just their ability to occupy defenders around the basket as Kentucky's skilled, athletic, dynamic guards go and make plays. The big men have to not be in the way, and Kentucky's big men, at least on Friday night, weren't just not in the way. They were actually helping the cause by clearing space for Kentucky's guards to get to the rim. Really, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, let's keep talking about the bigs for a second, because the Brandon Garrison, Malachi Moreno splitting time situation, that's not going to go away until Jaden Quaintance comes back. So I'll give my general thoughts on those two. I thought they both played kind of well overall. I thought they both were good. I think, like you were saying, Brandon Garrison, Malachi Moreno, they both really like to run the floor. That's big for them. You saw where Malachi Moreno had his fast break dunk. I believe it was Cam Williams who threw like a really nice pass from the side. From the sideline running down through the fast break. But both those guys really love to get their head down and run the floor when they see opportunities like that. It doesn't always pay off, but it does occasionally. They're really good at doing their pick and rolls. Like you were saying, Brandon Garrison always rolls hard. Malachi Moreno was the beneficiary of a couple of pick and rolls where he was able to, I think he maybe scored on a couple and then maybe passed out for potential assists, things like that. So I just thought it was a really productive game from them. The defensive rebounding stuff, I know that was something that you were going to be keeping an eye on. Did that kind of pass your eye test as well? And just what did you think in general of Brandon and Malachi in their first exhibition against another team, at least?
The defensive rebounding, and Malachi and Brandon Garrison were good. I think they both ended up with 4 or 5 rebounds. Obviously, Mo Diabate led the team with 9. I know Yelovich threw in 4 or 5 more. But as a whole, and to me, that's the way you need to talk about rebounding. Like it's a team effort. Kentucky's guards did a good job of coming down and helping in the efforts as well. But
5 for Colin Chandler, by the way.
Yeah, he was one of the best of the guards at helping in the rebounding category. But Kentucky defensive rebounded 82.6% of Purdue's misses. This is a team that has Trey Kaufman-Renn that averaged 2.6 offensive rebounds a game last season. They have Oscar Cluft, who averaged 4.2 offensive rebounds per game last season. Purdue is a very good offensive rebounding team. 82.6%. This is the perfect. It's just one game. It's just one game, but 82.6% on the defensive glass, extrapolated over an entire season, would be the best defensive rebounding team in the country by probably 3 or 4% generally. So Kentucky, it was just one game, but they were the best defensive rebounding team in the country on Friday night against a team that's going to be good on the offensive glass. That was based on, we had this show where I was talking about my concerns about the defense rebounding, and it's just one game, but they were kind of solved on Friday night against Purdue.
Yeah, and a big part of that was one of the guys you just mentioned, Mo Diabate, who had 9 rebounds in only 19 minutes. And that is a perfect segue into our next bit, which is my first, it's only one game, but, and by the way, folks, I don't know if you realize I have a nice new mic here, should be able to get rid of some of that background noise we had in the last Zoom action. For those that live near campus, you might know that I'm living behind a construction zone, so it's just nonstop drilling back there. So I will try my best to subside that noise. But regardless, my big, it's just one game, but Mo Diabate is going to be my favorite player on this team. And I think it kind of in the vein of Amari Williams last year in the terms of just probably not going to make many threes, but he's going to rebound. He's going to play hard, he's going to pass the ball, and he's going to be very important to how Kentucky operates on both ends of the floor. Probably, obviously not in terms of the playmaking that Amari had last year, but I think in terms of overall defensive impact and rebound, you're going to see similar stuff there. But it was just very impressive what we saw from Mo Diabate. Let's see his final stat line. He had 8 points, 4 of 7, 9 rebounds. Really, I thought did a great job on Trey Kaufman-Renn. Purdue's preseason third team All-American. I think Kaufman still finished with 19 points. He was 7 for 15, but I think from my count, it was only 2 or 3 of those buckets were actually on Mo Diabate. He was really struggling to score on Mo, and that's kind of just that's Mo's MO, is like to be really tough to score on, really be a big bully and everything. And so far, everything we've seen from him matches that. So, Brandon, I'm going to take us into, there's a 3-possession play here, or 3-possession stretch here that I'm going to show you of Mo that I really enjoyed. Not necessarily, scoring every time, but making an impact that's felt on 3 straight possessions. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of let it play here, and I'll narrate throughout. So it's going to take us back to the first half here. All right, let's see. So we've got Mo Diabate playing in the middle here, and you're just going to see Mo Diabate kind of spread himself out and play a lot, basically. Well, I'm going to pause it here so I can collect my thoughts. He's going to kind of roam around here and kind of essentially play like a free safety-ish, but like always has his head up, always talking, always pointing. I remember something that I really liked when I was watching his Alabama film, is it just like he felt like he was always communicating with his teammates. And you see some of that stuff here. You get you get Braden Smith coming around on I think it was Braden Smith here. I'll have to double check here while it's happening, as everything's rolling around here. Yeah, so you get Braden Smith coming around. Also, kind of a shout out to Colin Chandler on this play. It never looks like he's like actually in the play because he's just flailing his arms around everywhere, but he always does a good job, I think, of actually chasing guys around. And that's why Mark Pope gave him the unofficial MVP of that game. But as Colin here does kind of get himself lost a little bit behind, still, I thought this was a good little stretch here from Colin. Brandon, you can talk about that if you want later, but Mo Diabate's right there anyways to stop it. Makes Braden Smith pick up his dribble, passes it back out, and then you see a nice little stunt there from Denzel Aberdeen, makes Trey Kaufman-Renn just kind of stunt, or hesitate for a second. And then you've got Mo Diabate basically guarding multiple people at once here. Guarding Braden Smith, kind of also guarding Trey Kaufman-Renn as well. Great job from Otega Owe. More on this entire play as a whole here in a second. But then, as I continue to just ramble on here, once Owe gets this turnover, you see Mo Diabate. The first thing he does, he's sprinting up the floor, all the way down the floor, gets himself right to the rim. He sees Braden Smith on him. Immediately, he's like, okay, we got to find a way to get myself the ball here. This happened a couple of times as well during the game, and I think there was one other instance where they didn't actually get it to him, but they were able to get it to him on this one. Denzel recognizes it, cuts into the baseline there, and you get Mo going up over 3 dudes, one of as Kaufman-Renn, the other one is, I think that was Oscar Clough there. Really tough finish there. And then another possession here where you see a great defensive ending here from Mo Diabate, and another part of what makes him such just a hard worker. The fact that he was able to get around this pick and roll here, not only, it's one thing to pressure the ball and make it so Braden Smith kind of has to hesitate, but to actually poke the ball away, it was just, I thought it was awesome defense there. And he's able to recover and get back on Trey Kaufman-Renn as well, put himself in a position to box out, rip this rebound down with one hand. That's something that, as much as I loved Amari Williams last year, he wasn't doing too much of that stuff. There was a sense of him that he kind of would maybe back away from a little bit of pressure at times. Mo Diabate does not have that at all. So he goes up, rips this rebound, and if he doesn't get fouled right here, obviously he's already got his head looking the other way. He wants to push the pace down the floor as quickly as possible. He gets that rebound, and if he doesn't get fouled right there, he's hitting Otega Owe down the line here, because that's an easy pass. All you got to do is throw it over the 6-footer, and you've got Otega Owe for an easy dunk right there. So that was a long way of saying I really loved this 3-possession stretch here from Mo Diabate. I know, Brandon, you liked bits and parts of it as well. So after me just rambling there for the last couple minutes, what did you like about everything you just saw there from Mo Diabate in particular? And then kind of as a whole, what do you think, what was your overall assessment of him in his first actual action against another team? He's
a beast. This guy plays with a motor that is very, very impressive. And I think it's infectious too, honestly, for his teammates. I was really impressed with the tenacity with which Kentucky played with on Friday night. It was different than last year. I by no means do I want to start this narrative. The last year's team was soft, or they didn't, have some edge to them. But This year, it's just different. They're more physical. They're more athletic. I think there are some guys that are probably just a little bit, harder nosed, tougher dudes. And also, these guys have been in winning cultures. So, they know what it takes. Like Mo Diabate knows how hard you have to play to make it to a Final Four. Denzel Aberdeen knows how hard you have to play to win a national championship. And it just makes everything different on the floor. And I think that Mo Diabate embodies that such a high level. And what he does as a rebounder for being 6'7", a little undersized for his
I had to.
For being a four-man. I mean, he's given up 2 or 3 inches and 20, 30 pounds to Trey Kaufman-Renn, and he kind of won that battle against an All-American.
Absolutely won that.
It was just one game, but he kind of won that battle on Friday night. So I was very, very impressed with Mo Diabate. We need to keep him out of foul trouble, and I think that will be something to monitor with him because of everything we were just saying. Like, he wants to be physical. He's gonna get up in your face a little bit. He's gonna be involved in contact on both ends of the floor, and he picked up 3 fouls in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna hurt Kentucky if he does that. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% his fault. I'm not saying that it's gonna be a problem all season long, but it is something to monitor because I know at Alabama he fouled a lot as well, and it wasn't as big of a deal because he was in a role where he wasn't going to be asked to play 20, 25, 30 minutes. And I don't know what his minutes will end up being at Kentucky this year, but I think that the more Mo Diabate minutes you get, the better, honestly. So I don't want to see him in a situation where he can't play because of foul trouble. So that'll be one thing to monitor with him. But I was blown away with his with some of the plays he made on Friday.
So we need Mo is what you're saying, essentially, Brandon. But yeah, so like you're saying, the foul trouble, he ended up with 4 fouls. That definitely was like one of his things at Alabama. Like, that's the reason he didn't play too much more, was just because he couldn't a lot of the times. He was kind of foul prone, but that's part of what makes him so effective is he's such a physical presence that you kind of just have to take those hits as they come. And that's another reason why having so much depth on this team is going to help, because you'd rather still have Mo Diabate out there for it. I want him to play over 20 minutes a game if that's possible. You probably want him to get close to the 25-minute mark or something like that if you can. And that's definitely going to mean pulling in a little bit maybe on some of the foul issues. I'll actually be curious to see like what Pope, how he communicates that with Mo Diabate. Maybe that's something we'll ask him here coming up. We get to talk to Pope this week, so maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll pose that question to him and see what his response is for that. But he just plays so hard, man. You just got to have guys like that play hard. And I thought he was great. So Pope even said after the Purdue game, he said he's going to be Kentucky fans. He's going to be a fan favorite by the end of the season. It's not even the end of the season. It was one preseason game, and he's already my favorite player on this team. So, and I honestly don't see that changing too much. But Brandon, let's go ahead and dive into our next segment here. This is it's just one game, but and it actually goes back to a play that we just talked about right here. But your second is just one game, but what is your take there? What do we got?
It's just one game, but Kentucky is a top 5-ish defense in college basketball. I guess. I mean,
now we're cooking.
If I'm going to say a hot take, maybe they're the best defense in college basketball. I don't know, and because we're going to show a couple clips here that are really impressive. One that we've actually already seen, but Purdue, by all metrics, whether it's KenPom, whether it's Bart Torvik, whether it's Evan Miyakawa, they are the number 1 offense in college basketball in 2025, 2026. They return the guy who's supposed to be the best player in college basketball, a guy that I think is by far the best playmaker in college basketball in Braden Smith. They have another All-American forward in Trey Kaufman-Renn. They have a 4-year sharpshooter in Fletcher Lawyer. Like, this is a team that's played together for a lot of minutes. They return a lot of pieces, including high-level pieces. Again, the number 1 offense in college basketball, probably one of the smartest offensive coaches in Matt Painter and their offensive coordinator, PJ Thompson. And Kentucky held them to 65 points. And Kentucky wore them down by the end of the game. Kentucky bottled up the preseason National Player of the Year. Like, these guys, by the end of the game, I think they were playing tired and frustrated by the final few minutes of the game at Rupp Arena. And that was because of the defensive pressure, the defensive communication, the defensive rotation that Kentucky put on display. I mean, I think back to when I was coaching and like how much time you spend on defense in the preseason. The idea that a defense could look like this in October is kind of insane, especially when it's not like Kentucky has 13 returning players. They have a few, but there's still a heck of a lot of new pieces on this team. So for them to look so advanced on the defensive end, and you can go ahead and roll the clip whenever, is kind of mind-blowing. And I want to talk about this play. Zack broke it down kind of from a Mo Diabate perspective, but just across the board, the way they communicate and switch here as Braden Smith kind of curls around and gets the basketball. First and foremost, being pause it, Zack, the way that Colin Chandler chases guys on the perimeter is next level. I think back to kind of his big breakout game on the defensive end last year was against Tennessee, and the way that he chased Chaz Lanier around the floor, it was super, super impressive. Like, he does a great job of getting low. Like, he's like a little like sprint car or something on your.
It looks weird. It looks weird when he's chasing around.
He's so low. He's dipping his shoulder. It's like he's at the go-kart track, like trying to get a couple extra miles to beat his brother around the track or something. But it makes a difference. It's why he's the best at it, and he plays with such urgency. It's really fun to watch. But then kind of the emergency switch that they make right here at the elbow, because let's face it, Braden Smith has him beat, and Mo Diabate just steps up there and then immediately is directing traffic. You can see his right hand pointing out. Colin Chandler take TKR, keeps Aberdeen out there on number one. That is just next level communication, something that you get from a guy like Mo Diabate, who's played a couple years, played in an Elite Eight, played in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. Those things all kind of come together in a moment like this. And then you'll remember this quote from me from last year: often wrong, but never in doubt. We talked about that sometimes from a defensive perspective, where like, hey, it's okay if you don't follow the scout perfectly 100% of the time. It's okay if maybe you don't know what you're doing exactly, but just do something as hard as you can and make a freaking decision. And I thought that Kentucky was so decisive on the defensive end yesterday. Like, I don't know if they talked about doubling the post a bunch. They did it enough. They must have talked about it some. But like here, Colin Chandler just ends up doubling the crap out of TKR with Malachi Moreno there. And then the way that Otega Owe cracks down, as you have to, on the backside to steal this pass from Oscar Clough. Like, if you're walking through something in a college practice, like, this is what you dream of getting. And again, it was like, were the rotations 100% perfect? I guess in this instance, they were pretty darn close. But like, Kentucky's playing super hard. Purdue has good players. Like, Purdue might have gotten a layup there, but Kentucky's just playing hard enough. They're flying around enough that they were able to figure it out. Like, I don't know if it was perfect execution spot to spot, but man, it ended up in one of the most exciting defensive plays of the night. Mo Diabate was probably the trigger of a lot of it, but Colin Chandler, Malachi Moreno, Otega Owe, Denzel Aberdeen, all five guys on the court played a role in getting a turnover, which leads to Kentucky being able to play fast. And as Zack just mentioned in his last clip, it leads to a Mo Diabate layup on the other end because you were in transition, because he was able to get the mismatch on Braden Smith. So all this stuff works together, and Kentucky on the defensive end here, that communication, that rotation for a game that took place on October 24th, October 23rd, whatever it was, just unbelievably advanced. It was just one game though, just one game.
Yeah, I think there's like a skill in being able to, like, when the offensive play breaks down and they're just trying to get something going, like, can you adapt with them? Can you thrive in the chaos of their chaos? And at least in this clip, Kentucky did. And like Purdue, like, I'll kind of push, like, be a little devil's advocate here. Like, they missed a lot of open shots that I bet they don't miss later in the season. But like some of the things you're saying, like, they were exhausted. But once it hit the 10-minute point of the second half, Purdue was done. They just couldn't play anymore. Like, they were getting ran off. Like, literally, they could not keep up conditioning wise with Kentucky. And it's this clip here, and then a clip that we're about to show from what Brandon was talking about as well in the defense. Like, it wasn't just, it's like some of it was luck, but not all of it was luck. Like, a lot of it is you're playing really hard defense, and you're going to get rewarded by the basketball gods in some sense. So we're going to we're jumping way ahead. We're going to the second half here, and this is the second part of Brandon's it's just one game, but hot take with the defense, which I love. Say number one, man. Let's go all the way in. All
Absolutely. But yeah, this is a pretty similar clip in terms of Kentucky, like, often wrong, but never in doubt. They were flying around. They were decisive, and it led to, I guess not really a turnover, but it led to what amounts to turnover and a terrible missed shot by Trey Kaufman-Wren. And you'll see here where he is able to get Mo Diabate kind of into the post, but then they just
There
come,
comes that double.
they double the heck out of him. Like, again, if you can run it
Another
back just a
block from
little
Mo.
bit, like right here as TKR drives it in there, like, I don't know, right? Pause it right now. Like, to me, at 12 feet from the basket, like, Mo Diabate is fine. He doesn't need help here. Like, I don't know if I would tell Brandon Garrison to come double in this situation. But again, like, guess what? He does. And he did it with a lot of effort. And then if you can go just a little bit further and get ready to pause it now. Now, like, this isn't perfect. Brandon Garrison lets Trey Kaufman-Renn split this double team. That's a big no-no when you're double teaming the ball. Like, you don't want them to be able to split it here. So that's a perfect example of often wrong but never in doubt. I like how hard they were playing. I love the idea of just going and doubling the crap out of them, but they honestly didn't execute it perfectly. But because now you have a 6'7" guy on one end, a 6'9" guy on another end, and you're pressuring them, and there's 5 minutes left, and everybody's frustrated because he's already missed some floaters. Like, that's where now you end up, like, he misses the hoop. He throws this thing off the basket, and this looks like me shooting it. Like, he just throws it off the backboard here.
Sorry, my mic was muted, but I think Mo blocks this here.
Oh, well, even better. If we want to give him credit for that,
I think Mo gets a
great.
little
Yeah,
tap
you might be right, honestly. He missed it so bad, it would make sense. Kind of from behind there. Okay.
He definitely, he knocks that one out from behind. That's why
this was my first time noticing that. But yeah, you're 100% right. He actually gets a piece of that and blocks it. But yeah, like I said, I love the decisiveness of Kentucky, where, like, I don't know if they make. I think last year what happens is Brandon Garrison, like, kind of goes, but then doesn't really commit to it, and then they just throw it to Oscar Clough for a dunk because he's afraid to commit to, like, oh, like, I don't, like, Coach Pope told me I can go double, but God, I don't know if I'm supposed to, and then you end up giving up a dunk, and instead you end up getting a guy to miss a shot, and you rebound it. Now we can go the other way. So that was just a really, really impressive performance by Kentucky all around, and I think that you pushed back a little bit on, yes, I 100% agree. Braden Smith missed some open shots. He's not going to miss all the time. Mm-hmm. Fletcher Lawyer, after he made his first, like, 3, he literally missed, like, his next 14. Like, yes. That's not going to happen very often. Trey Kaufman-Renn missed some shots around the basket. But my pushback to the pushback is those are the things that happen when you're sped up. Those are the things that happen when you're tired. And yes, is some of it shooting variance because it's just one game? Absolutely. But some of those things, even if it's not like Kentucky perfectly contesting you, if it's not Kentucky in the perfect defensive position, it is because they get tired, they get frustrated, they're sped up. Like, I know the clip, it was the third one that you just showed in your Mo Diabate segment where Braden Smith kind of misses an elbow jump shot. Like, I think that Purdue was struggling a little bit offensively there for a stretch. I think Braden Smith decided he was going to take a jump shot there because he's the best player, and he's like, hey, like, I'm tired of this. And it was a decent shot, but, like, Colin Chandler's on his hip the whole way. He contests it, and he misses it. I know there was a couple of plays late where I felt like it looked like they were playing frustrated, and Kentucky deserves a lot of credit for that, just with the speed and the tenacity, the communication, just the kind of the grit that they had on that end of the floor was really next level. And I think that, especially because of the depth that this year's team has, I think you're going to see them. I mean, if you can do it against the number one team in the country, if you can do it against the number one offense in the country, imagine what it's going to look like against some of these other teams that Kentucky plays throughout this season if you can consistently get this and not let it be just one game.
Oh, and by the way, the top 5 pick is on the bench for all this, by the way. The potential defensive player.
Your starting point guard? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Purdue didn't scout, though, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they didn't. Okay. Last one. This one I think we're gonna have some more fun with here. It's just one game, but Jasper Johnson's gonna score 30 points in a game this season. And I actually feel pretty confident about it. And I know, like, maybe the one pushback on it would be that, when Lowe comes back, he's just going to soak up so many minutes that it might be hard for Jasper to get going. But I think he's just
yourself out of it. Don't talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm not going to. I'm going to talk myself into it right here even more. He's just such a microwave scorer. Well, here, I'll throw up some stats for you. So Lamont Butler scored 33 last year, literally had to make every single one of his shots. That's not going to happen with Jasper Johnson. Like he's not going to go 10 for 10. He's going to have to shoot 20 shots to get to 30 points, most likely. But it really doesn't happen all that often, a Kentucky player scoring 30 points in a season. You had Lamont was the only guy to do it last year. This is off Basketball Reference I'm using here. You did have kind of an anomaly in the 23-24 season where you just had the three best guards in the country, essentially, and Rob Reed and Antonio Reeves, and they all hit 30. Then Reeves had a 30-pointer before that. Oscar had a few 30s. Shea, Emmanuel Quickly, Kevin Knox. I forgot that Malik Monk had 4 30-point games in his freshman season. That's kind of crazy. But the point is, it doesn't happen all that often, so it's kind of a rarefied air when it does. But I think you're going to see it from Jasper Johnson. It's just going to have to be a situational thing. Like he's going to have to get 30, maybe not 30, but at least 25 minutes, something like that. But I do just think that in here, I'll pull up our friend Daniel Hager here. Just has, he does all the video recaps and everything. And I'm just going to let this 2.5 minute clip of Jasper dominating just flow by while I'm talking about him. Like, first of all, great pass from Jasper to hit Malachi Rowland there to kind of extend this play and then get himself in position to get a three. But he's going to shoot tough shots. This is something we talked about with him back when we did like our player breakdown. And we were like, he's going to take some of the toughest shots you've ever seen in your life, like this one right here, and they're just going to go in. And he's a guy that it almost feels like he is better when there's a hand in his face type guy. Like I think Rob was kind of that way as well, where it was like, you just got to put someone, like there needs to be a hand in Rob's face. And when there is, like, it's a 50% chance that 3-pointer is going in. And I kind of feel the same way with Jasper Johnson. And again, it's just one game, but I just think that he's going to be so tough to stay in front of. I honestly thought he just fights hard on defense. I don't know if he's actually a good defensive player right now, but he fights hard. He has no fear when he wants to chuck the ball up. I mean, again, this is the number one team in the country that Jasper is doing this against. Like, no fear at all. 6 for 10 from the field. He had the nastiest, like the very last clip of this game is the nastiest one, like even better than his sidestep 3-pointer, I thought, where he just gets his way all the way through traffic and does like a reverse on the other end with his left hand. But yeah, 3 for 7 from 3, ended with 15 points, 3 assists. I just think he's a player. Like, he just knows how to score the ball, and you're going to see Mark Pope's going to let him run. They're going to let him shoot transition threes like this one. They're going to let him spot up and pull up. He's going to give him the freedom to get in the lane. And another thing is, Jasper, like, it wasn't just 3-pointers with Jasper. Like, he went 3 of 3 on his 2-pointers. He had a ton of, like, well, not a ton, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he had some paint touches, like got himself into the paint. He didn't look like he was 170 pounds when he's out there playing. Like, he looked like he was a little bit bigger. I mean, this play right here, like, this is the one where he's just, I mean, come on. That's a crazy shot right there for an 18, 19-year-old to make. So I just think if you give Jasper Johnson enough opportunity, and that was my exact reaction as well when he was doing that, if you give him enough opportunity, I think you're going to see him light up the scoreboard. Just has a really good feel for the game. Malachi Moreno even joked during the post-game press conference. He was like, yeah, Jasper doesn't want to feed me on the pick and rolls during practice, but he did it in the game, and he did. He did it like at least 2 or 3 times where he was hitting guys on the roll, trying to find his teammates in the paint as well. So it just seems like he has a very good feel for the game. We are not going to play Big X Sports Radio right now. So sorry,
Mike
folks,
Rutherford show, that was perfect.
If you were looking to watch that. But Brandon, that's my spiel on Jasper Johnson. I can absolutely see, like, if there's one player on this team I think could score 30 points a game, like, I do think that Jalen Loeb might be able to get there. Like, if he gets hot, maybe Otega Owe can get there if things go right. It's just going to be hard with how many pieces are on this team, like, to just get that many minutes to get to that many points. But I think if there's one guy on the team to do it, it's this guy, number two. He's unbelievably skilled. He's the best shot maker on the team. And I don't think it's particularly close, actually.
I agree, because I think that the way he has his game where he scores 30 is that, and honestly, it could happen against an SEC team probably just as easily as it could happen against Nichols in game 1. Like, there's going to be a game where he hits 5 threes in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden, like, you're going to roll him out there for more minutes in the second half. He hits a couple more. Like, for him to get to 30, he's probably going to hit 7 threes. And, like, right. I think he's going to have a game where he hits 7 threes this year. Now, we all know there's probably going to be a game where he goes 1 for 10 and we all pull our hair out also, because he ain't going to stop shooting them. Like, he is, to talk about a shoot 'em all guy, like, I don't need to tweet it. Jasper Johnson knows he's going to shoot them all. And but I think that's a good thing. I mean, it's easy to make the Rob Dillingham comparison, But
Mm-hmm.
this is the way I'm going to make the comparison, because it's something I think is important really in all of sports, but you see it sometimes in basketball. Like, what I like about Jasper Johnson and is what I loved about Rob Dillingham from day one, that without it really coming across in a super cocky way, he thinks he's the best player on the floor every time he steps on it. And I think that can really pay dividends, especially for freshmen. When you can be that confident, yes, it's going to lead to some insane shots, some insane turnovers, and you're going to have to learn how to harness it a little bit. But like, you also don't want to take that away from a kid when they think like that. And I think he has that kind of it factor to him, where we're going to go into Louisville the third game of the year. We're going to go down to Tuscaloosa on January 3rd or whatever it is, and we're going to go play St. John's and these people on neutral floors. And Jasper Johnson, even though he's from for sales, like, he's not going to be scared of the moment. He's like, the lights are not going to be too bright. He's going to think it's freaking sweet, and he is going to want the spotlight on him. He's going to want the best defender on St. John's to be in his grill, and he's going to try to dice him up and shoot some crazy step back threes. And if a few of them go in, it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I do think that, if you were setting betting odds at who's the most likely to score 30 points in a game this year, it'd be hard to not have Jasper at the top of that list, even though, heck, he might be 7th on the team in minutes. I don't know by the end of the year. But I just think, like, Otega Owais is not going to make enough threes to score 30 points in a game. Maybe even the same thing with Jalen Lowe, or Jalen Lowe is going to pass it too much to score 30 points in a game. But yeah, Jasper Johnson's going to have some games where he takes, 15, 16 shots, good, bad, or otherwise. And as long as, one of the times he goes 11 for 16 or something, like, all of a sudden we're going to be in a situation where it's his night.
Yeah, and I think that's my only caveat with it, is he going to be able to play enough? It's going to have to be a situation like you're saying, where he just gets really hot really early, and you're like, okay, we just got to keep feeding this guy the ball. And it's what's funny is, looking back at these games where Kentucky players had 30 points, they're pretty much always, all of them except St. Peter's. Oscar had 37 in that game, or 30 in that game, but we don't have to talk about that too much. All of them are against Power 4 teams. You got Louisville, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Louisville again, Arkansas, Georgia, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, A&M, Vandy, West Virginia, UCLA, Florida. So these are all the teams in a row here of where these games have come against. So the big scoring games in Kentucky history actually don't come against the bad teams. They tend to come against good teams in conference situations. So we can be in February before this actually hits or something like that. But if Jasper can find enough playing time, I definitely think he can get there. That's just going to be the one thing with him. But again, it's just one game, but that's how we're going with it. So I think this was our shortest episode ever, 38 minutes. Can you believe it? Anything else on your mind you want to talk about from this Purdue game as we look ahead to Georgetown on Thursday?
Yeah, so you say shortest episode ever, and then you ask me a question. So
yeah, let's talk for another 15 minutes. How you want to do it?
No, I think that this is the perfect time to use our little "it's just one game" shtick, because not only is it just one game, it's one meaningless exhibition game that doesn't count for anything. And I do think that, you do have to be careful. You'll hear me talk about it ad nauseum on KS Board or Twitter. Any of the single games of a year, extrapolating too much from them is irrelevant. I always talk about, sporting events happen in a vacuum. What happened on Tuesday night in an SEC game doesn't mean all of a sudden Kentucky can't guard the ball screens on Saturday. Or just because you made 13 threes in one game doesn't mean you're not going to shoot like crap the next game. Whether it's the Louisville game, the Valparaiso game, the Duke game, trying to take meaningful stuff from one game is usually pretty tough. And that's even, doubly true for an exhibition game. But we still had a lot of fun. You're down 2 starters, and you beat a team with a bunch of veterans that are used to playing with one another, and they wanted to win the game too. And I think that just some of the things that we talked about, that I've posted clips on Twitter, different things, some of those takeaways are real, and it's okay to try to have some real takeaways and have some fun with such an impressive performance. And we'll get to see it again against Georgetown, the Hoyas, not the ones in Kentucky.
That'd be fun, playing the Tigers.
Right, yeah. And then you get a couple, bye sort of warm up games, for lack of a better term. Then you go play Louisville. So we're going to have to start extrapolating some things here pretty soon because the games are going to matter before we know it. But no, I think that all those caveats are real and necessary, but it was still a heck of a performance. It was super fun, and Rupp Arena was rocking on Friday. I mean, honestly, if we could have that sort of an atmosphere for more games, we'd probably be better for it. It was one of the better atmospheres, certainly compared to some of the random games that you'll get at Rupp Arena throughout the season. So a lot of fun. Enjoyed getting to break it down. It's nice to have basketball back, especially as football sort of makes us want to pull our hair out a little bit. But we're going to keep doing this because it's a lot of fun, and I think this Kentucky team is going to be a lot of fun this year. So make sure you're subscribed to Zoom Action. We need to tell people to subscribe more.
Yeah, subscribe. As you hear the hammer, the jackhammer, just drill into the earth in the background here while I do our closing bit here. But yes, Georgetown on Thursday. Brandon, will you be at that one?
No.
So we still don't know Jalen Lowe's status. Like I said, we will get to talk with Mark Pope on Wednesday. He'll give us an update then. In the meantime, don't be shocked if Jack Pilgrim or Jacob Polachek drops the scoop on KS Board before then. So we might have some insight on that going ahead. But I'm going to just kind of go in expecting him not to play just because why maybe would you if he's still kind of at that iffy spot. Just get him ready for Nichols on, what is that, on like a Wednesday?
Tuesday the 4th.
Tuesday the 4th. Yeah, so that's coming up very soon. But yes, so Purdue game was awesome. The atmosphere was great. Rupp was rocking. The Georgetown game should be just as fun. A little pre-Halloween warm-up going into your weekend where Kentucky will play another football game as well. But yeah, we'll end it on some fun basketball stuff. So, Brandon, thanks for joining as always, and we will see you all next week probably. Go Cats.
Let's do it.